Okay, for the arancini, they've already been fried, so they should be heated up. So I've preheated the oven to 180. I've popped them in there for about minimum 3 minutes. Probably check them after 3, see if they're warm. If not, probably max about 7 minutes. But while they're heating up, I'm just going to get the sort of plate prepared. So I've got my olive crumb into a container, and you've got your tomato and roasted red pepper sauce here. So I'm going to do, because I've got 3, so I'm going to put 1 dot, 2 dot, 3 dots on the plate first. If you're not that bothered about plating up the canapes, yeah, don't worry. You can just pour this sauce into a sort of container, and you can almost have it as like a dipping sauce. Right, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and this is for them to sit on when they come out of the oven. So I'm going to be quite generous because I really like this sauce. Cool. So that's on there now. I'll just get them out of the oven now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip one side into the sauce and then turn it around, and then over the board I'm going to sprinkle the olive crumb on. That's so when they go on the plate it's going to look super clean, and it's going to give something to the olive crumb to stick on. So just be careful, these are going to be hot. So in one side, dip it down, move it around a little bit, and then I'm going to put some olives on that red bit. And then that can go back on the same dot, but the other way up. One more time. So into the dot, move it around a little bit, take it off, turn it over, get the olives, just put some on that tomato and roasted red pepper sauce. In the middle. And then finally, one more. Again, into the sauce, roll it around a little bit, take it out, turn it up, and put them on, put the olives on. So these are dehydrated Kalamata olives. So the Kalamata olive is a Greek type of olive. It's much more floral than your traditional sort of Spanish or French olives. I'm just going to add a little bit more sweetness to the dish. And there you go. Arancini rice balls, roasted red pepper and sun-dried tomato sauce, dehydrated Kalamata olives. Yeah, dig in and enjoy it. Thank you. Okay, so for the starter, the first thing I've done is just got everything out. So for this one, it's just dressing. There's no heating, there's no cooking. So the key for that is being organised. So I've got my 3 piles of tomatoes set out on the board in front of me, and the 3 green presentation ones as well. I've poured all my sauces into containers. So I've got my croutons there, my shallot dressing there, pickled onions in there, herb oil, and then the pickle in another container. I've also put all the flowers and basil and garnish in another container as well. And I've got 1 container for the marinade to go in for the tomatoes, for the ceviche. Finally, I'm using a squeezy bottle for the shrub. Yours is going to come in a backpack, sorry, not a backpack bag, a piping bag. So just exactly the same. It's quite a loose gel, so just be careful when you put it on the plate, it doesn't go all on in the middle in one go. Alright, so the basic ideas of this is we're going to marinate 1 pile of the tomatoes in the ceviche marinade. So this is this. The other ones we're going to brush with the dressing. Again, you don't want to put too much of the dressing on because it's going to overpower everything. This is quite a sweet acidic dressing, so that's going to balance out the ceviche pickle. And then with the final pile of tomatoes, we're going to put that on raw. So then when you're building this up, you're going to have different layers of tomatoes, different flavours constantly going on. So yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start putting tomatoes on the plate. I'm going to go for a ring with 1 layer of tomatoes, and then slowly coming in with the rest of the tomatoes. So before we start, I'm going to ceviche 1 pile. So I've just taken one of my piles. I'm just going to gently put all the tomatoes into this container I've got, and then we're going to pour over some of the pickling liquor. So you don't need to put too much in. We're just going to let these sit in a little bit of liquor for about 5 to 10 minutes while we start dressing the rest. Let's put them to one side. Now with the rest of the tomatoes, so we've got one of the other piles. I'm just going to get them nice and flat on the board, and then I'm going to dress the shallot dressing on top. So if you don't have a little brush like this, you can just use a spoon. Just put a little dollop in the middle. I'll show you one quickly. So put a little dollop, just not much. Like I said, you only want a teeny tiny bit in the middle, and then just use the back of the spoon to brush it over. Like I said, I'm going to use a pastry brush. So you don't really want much of this because it is quite strong. Just with all the sauces, just give them a little taste first to make sure you like the flavour. And obviously, if you like the flavour a lot, put more on. If you're not so keen on the flavour, put less on. But to get it nice and balanced throughout the whole dish, I recommend just a little bit of that and pickling these for about 5 minutes. Right, so now we're ready to start plating. So the whole idea is we're going to build up from the outside in. So I'm going to go an outside circle, which is going to be the sort of boundary, and then we're going to do the sort of slowly go into the middle. So I'm just getting the rest of the tomatoes on. So I'm going to go one shallot, and then next to it one pickled, then one plain, and then one shallot, one pickled, one plain. So the idea is when you're eating it, everything's always changing. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes for this, and then we'll start. Yeah, so like I said, they've been in there for about 5 minutes now, 5 to 10 minutes, so I'm ready to start plating. I'm going to pop on one of the larger beef tomatoes at the top, and that's sort of the apex for me to work around. And then like I said, I'm going to alternate. So now I'm going to go plain, pickled, and I'm just changing the colours around as well, so you always get a sort of different colour going on. And then plain, and then pickled. So you can see from that, that's the sort of base of my my outline that I'm just going to fill in now as you keep going in. Okay, so I've just I've finished my circle now. As you can see, you try and keep the out ones as circular as possible. So I've gone alternating between big and small, and obviously changing the flavour up. And then I've just put one layer on top just to hide all the gaps. So you end up with something that looks like that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some of the tomato shrub on. So this is a 90-day ferment of tomatoes in soy sauce, vinegar and sugar. It's going to be super umami, and it's going to add sweetness and vinegary sort of depth of flavour. So I'm just going to go around the plate, dotting a little bit here and there. I really like the flavour of it, so I'm going to put quite a lot on, but just try it and see what you think. So again, you'll have a piping bag, but it's exactly the same principles. It's a good one just to fill in the gaps, to make the outer circle a lot more sort of smooth. Once you're happy with the amount of sort of shrub you've got on there, I'm going to place one of the green tomatoes that's been cut like a platform in the centre. That's going to sit right up, looking at the eater, as you were. And now I'm just going to go around with a few of these pickled onions. So again, a different type of acidity, different type of sweetness being built up here. Now onto the sort of flowers and the croutons. Yeah, so I'm just going to put some of these on now, and then we're going to hide some of them with the flowers. Just take a pinch. I like mine quite crushed up, but you know, you have the option there. And I'm just trying to get them on the actual dish, not on the plate itself. So this is like I said earlier, this is the salt element of the dish. So you shouldn't need seasoning on top. Now on with the flowers. So we've got a different variety in here. This is little Thai basil. So it's a bit like normal basil, but a bit more peppery. Place one of them right there. And then we've got some lemon thyme flowers here. So they look small, but they pack a punch. It's going to be like a nice thymy lemony hit. the tomato flowers. So one of these to the side, and a few of the petals. So I like to rip mine up a little bit so you get a bit more colour showing around the places. And then with another couple of colours. So I'm just placing them in sort of places where, you know, it's going to oppose what's around it. So I'm trying to not place yellow flowers on top of yellow tomatoes. Just make those opposites really pop on the plate. And another little petal of the basil. If you've got some crumbs, now it's a good time just to wipe them off. Put a few more shrub dots on there just to gloss everything up a little bit. And then lastly, the herb oil. So the herb oil is like a chive and mint oil, so it's really going to freshen the dish up. I'm going to put a little bit on my spoon, and then I'm going to go around the outside of the plate, and then I'm going to put some on top as well. And it's just going to finish it off and give that last sort of freshness and hit. Right, so I'm going to use a spoon just to put a little bit on each plate. If you want, you can just pour straight from the container or the bag. Just be careful not to get it all in one place at the beginning. And I'm just going for a little bit around the outside and then over the top. And there you have it. Ceviche tomatoes, ciabatta, thyme and rosemary croutons, tomato shrub, shallot pickle, and then a apple pickle as well to marinate the tomatoes. Okay, so for the main course, the confit trout, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a pot of water up to temperature. So I've filled up a pot, 2/3 up to the top with cold water. I've brought it up to the boil and I've turned it right down. So it's not simmering. You come over here, I'll just quickly show you. Okay, so like I was saying, I filled the pot up 2/3 of the way, brought it up to a boil, and I've turned it right down. So at the moment, this is on 2 out of 9. So obviously, bear with me. Every hob's going to be different. If you're using gas, you want it right down. So basically, you want to be able to put your finger in there for a couple of seconds and then take it out. So 65 degrees if you have a probe is perfect. If not, like I said, finger, couple seconds, it's hot. It's like putting your toes into a warm bath. Okay, so just before we start confitting the trout, I'm going to get the salad ready to go. So obviously you've got your sort of coconut salad in here already. So in here you've got salted cucumbers, Thai mint, coriander, spring onions, raw shallot, and then on the top, and kaffir. And then on the top you've got your red chilies. So I've kept it separate for 2 reasons. 1, so you can control the level of spice, and 2, chili has a tendency to bleed into absolutely everything. And coconut is a bit like a sponge. So yeah, you don't want to dress it too early, as you'll end up with a red salad. So I quite like a little bit of chili, so I'm going to go for a couple spoonfuls of that. And then you just want to give it a good mix around. And then you want to taste it for seasoning. Like I was saying, the cucumbers, they've been salted, so that's the salt element of this dish. So if you want a little bit more, add a little bit more. But for me, I think this is going to be perfect. Yeah, so now that I've got my salad dressed, I'm just going to get the last little bits out of the bags. So I've just poured the pickled cucumbers into a container, and now I'm just going to take them out onto my board or a tray or whatever you have on to hand. I've done the same with my turnips. So I'm just going to take out the turnips as well. So it's going to be radishes. It's going to be 4 radishes per person, and then however many of the cucumber slices that you want. So I've said it a few times before, the key to cooking is organisation, and that's especially true when you start using fish. So as soon as the fish hits the water or hits the pan, you only have a limited amount of time left. So that's why I've got my salad ready to go, I've got my pickles out, and I'm going to get the shrub out next. So the shrub's going to be used at the end to pour on, so I'm just going to probably pour that into a jug, and then you guys can control how much you want. A bit like using a gravy on a sundae. but this one's going to be much more sort of sharp, acidic, and yeah, very floral. Alright, so now that all set up here, I'm going to pop the salmon into the water bath, as you were. So this is probably going to take between 5 and 10 minutes to cook. Yeah, about 5 to 10 minutes to cook. So we'll check it after about 5, and then we'll see if it needs a little bit longer. Just going to pop it in, and that will give us some time to start dressing the plate. So that's in there, and it's just give it a little check. Still hot. You can hold your fingers in there for about 1, maybe 2 seconds at a push. So ideally, this dish is going to be placed in a bowl, obviously with the apple shrub, which is quite a liquidy sauce. You're going to need a rim on the side. The whole idea as well is that I'm going to place a coconut sort of line down the middle, and that's going to be what the confit salmon sits on. So I'm just going to take a little bit out and just slowly start building it up, and just bearing it. Yeah, just keep remembering that the salmon's going to have to sit on it. So you don't want it to be a pyramid, you want it to be almost like a rectangle. Okay, so the salmon's been in there for about 5 minutes, and I'm just going to check it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out, just be careful, it's going to be hot. And then you want to just gently push it. And you want to see, what you're looking for is to see it start flaking like that. So once you feel like you could almost rip through like that one, you know it's ready. So I'm going to take it out, I'm going to put it on my tray, and then we're going to finish dressing it while it just sits in its own juices for a little bit. So I've got my salmon just resting over, keeping warm. I've got my flat coconut bed, and I'm just going to start dressing up the pickles and the radishes. So with the cucumber, you can see there's a little slit down the middle. That's so you can make a nice little comb. So the best way to do this is hold it with the slit face down, put your thumb there, and then wrap it around your thumb. So you get like a little comb. And then with these, I'm just going to place one at either side, but not completely the end, because I'm going to put the radishes on either side of these. So you're going to be building up layers between radishes and the pickled cucumbers. So 1, 2, and then 3. Alright, so I've just alternated between the radishes and the cucumbers, and you've ended up with something that looks a little bit like that. So I'm happy with that, and all I've got to do is open up the salmon and place it in the middle. I've also got my shrub into a jug ready to be poured on. So the shrub, it's not going to be kept in the, well, it'll be kept in the fridge, and then you want to just take it out about 30 minutes before you start thinking about eating. So when you're having the starter, take it out so it comes up to room temperature. And now all I've got to do is put the lovely piece of salmon over the top. There you have it. One final pinch of salt on the salmon. You have your charcoal confit salmon, coconut salad, pickled cucumbers, torched radishes, and apple, kaffir, and cucumber shrub. I hope you enjoy it.